There are many animals like the deers in the forest that directly depend on plants for food. But in spite of so many animals directly dependent on plants, the number of plants and trees are endless in the forests. How is that possible? That is because plants are autotrophic. By autotrophic, I mean they can manufacture their own food with the help of sunlight, water from the soil, and carbon dioxide from the air. So plants are the producer of food, and animals consume this plant to survive. So animals are the consumers and plants are the producer. Now, in a food chain, plants produce food. Now, there are certain animals that directly have plants or directly consume plants for survival. Such animals are known as primary consumers, where primary means first. There are also animals in the forest like tigers and lions that consume these primary consumers for survival. So these animals are indirectly dependent on plants for food, and they are known as secondary consumers, where secondary means second. These primary consumers are known as herbivores, where herbi means plant and vores means eater. And these secondary consumers, like tiger, they are known as carnivores, where carni means flesh and vores means eater. Now, it is not necessary that there will be only deers as the herbivorous animals and carnivorous animals like tigers. There are a lot of herbivorous animals like rabbits and goats, and a lot of carnivorous animals like lions and snakes present in the forest. So there are many herbivorous animals that are dependent on plants for food, like rabbits and deers, etc. Now, one primary consumer can be consumed by different secondary consumers. For example, see, a deer is being consumed by both tiger and a lion. And the reverse is also true. See, one secondary consumer can feed on different primary consumers. For example, see, a snake can consume both rats as well as frogs. Now, it is not necessary that a food chain will be linear. That is, with one producer, one primary consumer, and one secondary consumer. There are a lot of primary consumers and secondary consumers present in the forest. So there can be a lot of food chains that can develop in a forest. So this is one food chain that can form. A deer can consume plants, and in return, the tiger can consume the deer. Now see, another food chain is also possible. Rabbits can eat the plants, and in turn, these rabbits can be consumed by the lions or the tigers. So you see, a lot of food chains can be possible in the forest. So these interconnecting food chains, they form a web-like structure and is known as the food web. Now, animals that are naturally occurring in an area are known as the fauna, and plants that are naturally occurring in an area are known as the flora. Now, a food chain is never limiting. By that I mean autotrophic plants that manufacture food will never diminish, because if they diminish, the entire food chain will become limiting. that is, the entire food chain will crash. If there are no plants, no food will be made, and in return, all the living organisms will die because there won't be any food supply. So plants need to be in maximum quantity. Now, similarly, the primary consumers should be large in number, because if their number diminishes, then automatically secondary consumers like lions and tigers will also diminish, because even they won't have food to survive. So according to this, in a food chain, plants should be in maximum amount, followed by primary consumers, and then secondary consumers. So, with respect to number, these producers, primary consumers, and secondary consumers can be arranged like a pyramid, like this, where plants form the base and have the maximum number present in the environment, followed by primary consumers, like these animals, zebras and rabbits and deers, and lastly, secondary consumers such as lions and tigers and snake. So they form a food pyramid, and this pyramid, which is done according to number, they are known as the pyramid of numbers. Now, biomass is directly dependent on number. If the number increases, the biomass will also increase. So according to that, another pyramid is possible, which is known as the pyramid of biomass. Even here, the plants form the maximum population, and they form the base of the pyramid, followed by the primary consumers, and lastly, the secondary consumers. Now, can you believe if I tell you that plants derive nutrition from a tiger? Yes, even this is possible with the help of these microorganisms that cannot be seen through naked eyes and can only be seen microscopically. How? Well, when these animals die, these microorganisms act upon these animals, and they make the nutrients present in their body available in the soil. Now, since the nutrients are present in the soil, plants can take up the nutrients through their roots and can use it to survive. Now, plants can also take up nutrition from dead plants. In the similar process, these microorganisms act upon dead plants and make their nutrients available to the soil, so that new plants can take up this nutrition from the soil and develop and grow.